The distress signal came through at 3 in the morning. Ship time. Park Do-hoon was already awake, sitting alone in the medical bay of the merchant vessel, Calm Horizon. He could not sleep. He had not slept well in months, not since the news about his sister's colony. The Vel Norai had burned it to ash. 12,000 people gone in a single night. The signal was weak and broken. It repeated the same message over and over in a language Do-hoon did not speak, but he recognized the pattern. It was Vel Norai. Captain Bora's voice came through the ship's speakers. Ignore it. We are not stopping. Do-hoon understood the captain's thinking. The Vel Norai and humans had been killing each other for 12 years. No one remembered exactly how it started anymore. Some said it was a misunderstanding. Others said it was inevitable. Two species, both expanding through the stars, both convinced they had the right to claim whatever worlds they found. The first shots were fired, and then more shots, and then entire fleets were burning in the void. The merchant vessel Calm Horizon was neutral. It carried food and medical supplies to stations that served both sides. It flew no military flags. But neutrality was a thin shield in a war like this. Ships disappeared all the time. Do-hoon pulled up the signal's coordinates on his personal screen. The source was close, maybe 2 hours away at normal speed. He looked at the data and felt something heavy settle in his chest. He went to the captain's quarters. Bora was a large woman with tired eyes. She had been running this ship for 20 years and the war had aged her badly. The signal, Do-hoon said. Someone is alive out there. Someone Vel Norai, Bora replied. Not our problem. They might have wounded. They definitely have enemies. Whoever hit them might still be nearby. I am not risking my crew for aliens who would kill us without a second thought. Do-hoon stood in the doorway for a long moment. He thought about his sister. He thought about the burned colony. He thought about all the reasons he had to hate the Vel Norai. Then he thought about the signal, repeating endlessly into the darkness. Someone was alive. Someone was calling for help. Let me take a shuttle, he said. Just me. If anything goes wrong, you leave. No risk to the ship. Bora stared at him. You're insane. Probably. You know what they would do if they found you? They would tear you apart. Maybe. But I need to look. The captain was silent for a long time. Finally, she shook her head. 1 hour. If you're not back in 1 hour, we're gone. Do-hoon nodded and left before she could change her mind. The shuttle was small and old, barely more than a metal box with an engine. Do-hoon flew it through the debris field alone. He saw pieces of ships floating in the void, twisted metal and shattered glass. Whatever battle had happened here, it had been vicious and one-sided. He found the source of the signal, a Vel Norai transport ship, broken nearly in half. It was not a military vessel. The markings indicated it was diplomatic, meant for carrying officials and their families between systems. Someone had attacked a ship full of civilians. Do-hoon docked his shuttle against what remained of an airlock. He put on his suit and stepped through. The inside of the transport was death. Bodies lay everywhere, Vel Norai in their formal robes, their silver skin turned gray in the cold. Do-hoon counted at least 40, men, women, and smaller shapes that he tried not to look at too closely. He moved through the wreckage, checking each body for signs of life. His scanner found nothing. The cold and the vacuum had done their work. Then in what remained of a sleeping quarters, he heard something. A sound so faint he almost missed it. A whimper. Do-hoon pushed aside a fallen beam and found her. She was small, even for a child. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes large and dark, closed tight against the pain. Her leg was trapped under a heavy piece of metal, crushed at the knee. Blood, darker than human blood, pooled around her. She was dying. Maybe minutes left, maybe less. Do-hoon knelt beside her. She opened her eyes and saw him. For a moment there was nothing in those eyes but pure terror. She tried to scream, but she was too weak. She tried to crawl away, but she could not move. Easy, Do-hoon said. He kept his voice soft. I'm not going to hurt you. She did not understand his words. The fear in her eyes did not fade. To her, he was a monster from stories. Humans were the enemy. Humans killed her people. Do-hoon looked at the metal pinning her leg. It was heavy, but he could lift it. The question was what came next. If he freed her, She would bleed out in minutes without treatment. His shuttle had basic medical supplies, nothing more. Could he save her? He did not know. He thought about walking away, leaving her here to die with her people. No one would ever know. No one would blame him. She was Velnarai. Her people had killed his sister, but she was also a child, a small, frightened, dying child. Do-hun had made many choices in his life, some good, some bad. But this choice, he realized, would define him. This was the moment where he would discover what kind of man he really was. He grabbed the metal beam and lifted. His muscles screamed. His back felt like it would break. But the beam moved, inch by inch, until the child's leg was free. She screamed then, a thin and terrible sound. The pain must have been beyond description. "I know," Do-hun said. "I know it hurts. Stay with me." He lifted her carefully, cradling her small body against his chest. She weighed almost nothing. Her blood soaked through his suit. He carried her back through the dead ship, past all the bodies, through the airlock, into his shuttle. He laid her on the floor and started working. The next hour was a blur of blood and desperation. Do-hun used everything he had: bandages, painkillers, tools meant for humans that he had to adapt for alien biology. He worked by instinct more than knowledge. Velnarai anatomy was different from human anatomy, but not completely different. He found the major blood vessels. He stopped the bleeding. He stabilized the shattered bone. When he finally stopped, his hands were shaking, and his suit was covered in dark blood. The child was unconscious but alive. Her breathing was shallow but steady. Do-hun sat back against the wall of the shuttle. He was exhausted beyond words. His communicator buzzed. Captain Bora's voice sharp with worry. "Your hour is up. What's happening out there?" Do-hun looked at the child, at the enemy he had just saved. "I'm coming back," he said, "and I'm bringing a passenger." There was a long silence on the other end. "You found a survivor?" "Velnarai." "A child. She's badly hurt." Another silence. Then Bora's voice, heavy with something that might have been anger or fear or both. "You're bringing a Velnarai child onto my ship." "Yes." "Do you understand what you're doing? Do you understand what this means?" Do-hun looked at the small silver face, peaceful now in unconscious sleep. He did not know what this meant. He did not know what would happen next, but he knew he could not leave her to die. "I understand," he said, and he flew back toward the calm horizon, carrying the enemy's daughter in his arms. The crew of the calm horizon gathered outside the medical bay, like witnesses at a trial. They stared through the glass at the impossible thing inside, a human medic working to save a Velnarai child. Do-hun did not notice them watching. He had no time to care about their opinions. The girl was alive, but barely. Her leg was destroyed. Infection was already spreading. Without proper treatment, she would lose the limb. Without very good treatment, she would die. He worked through the night and into the next day. He studied Velnarai medical texts on his screen while his hands moved automatically, cleaning wounds and adjusting bandages. The child woke sometimes, crying in her strange language, and each time Do-hun would speak softly to her until she calmed. "What is your name?" he asked during one of these moments. She stared at him with her large dark eyes. Fear still lived there, but something else too. Confusion, maybe. She did not understand why the monster was being kind. "Hana," she finally whispered. "Hana." Do-hun nodded. "That is a nice name. I am Do-hun." "Do-hun," she repeated carefully, as if the human sounds were strange in her mouth. "You are safe now, Hana. I am going to help you." She did not answer, but she stopped trying to pull away from him. That was something. Captain Bora came to the medical bay that evening. She stood in the doorway with her arms crossed, watching Do-hun prepare for surgery. "You cannot be serious," she said. "Her leg is dying. If I do not operate, she loses it. Then the infection spreads, and we lose her. And if you operate, maybe she keeps the leg. Maybe she lives." Do-hun did not look up from his preparations. "I have to try." "You have to try." Bora's voice was flat. "For a Velnarai. For one of the creatures that has been burning human colonies for 12 years. She is 7 years old. She has not burned anything. Her people killed your sister." The words hit Do-hun like a physical blow. He stopped moving. For a moment, the grief came flooding back, fresh and terrible. He saw his sister's face in his memory, heard her laugh, remembered the last message she sent him, complaining about the food on the colony and asking when he would visit. She had been waiting for him when she died. He never came. I know what her people did, Dohan said quietly. I think about it every day. But this child did not do it. And I became a medic to save lives, not to choose which lives deserve saving. Bora was silent for a long moment. Then she shook her head. You are a fool, Park Do-hoon. A complete fool. She turned to leave, then stopped. But you are the best medic I have ever known. Do what you need to do. The surgery took 6 hours. Do-hoon worked with tools designed for human bodies, adapting each one as he went. He rebuilt the shattered bone with metal pins. He reconnected blood vessels so small he could barely see them. He cut away dead tissue and fought the infection with every medicine he had. 3 times during the surgery, Hana's heart stopped. 3 times, Do-hoon brought her back. When it was finally over, he sat beside her bed and waited. His hands were shaking. His eyes burned. He had not slept in almost 2 days. Hana woke slowly. She looked around the room with confusion, then down at her leg. It was wrapped in bandages held straight by a frame of metal rods, but it was still there. You saved my leg, she said. Do-hoon nodded. It will take time to heal, many weeks, but yes, I think you will walk again. Hana was quiet. She seemed to be thinking very hard about something. Why? She finally asked. Why what? Why did you save me? Humans and Velnori are enemies. You should want me dead. The question was asked with pure innocence. She was not accusing him. She genuinely did not understand. Do-hoon leaned back in his chair. When I found you, I saw a child who was hurt and scared. I did not see an enemy. I just saw someone who needed help. But your people and my people are at war. Yes, and maybe that war will go on forever. Maybe our people will never stop fighting, but I can choose what I do, and I choose to help children, even if their parents are fighting mine. Hana considered this. My mother says humans are monsters. She says you enjoy killing. What do you think? The girl looked at him, really looked at him, with those deep dark eyes that seemed too old for her face. I think my mother is wrong, she said. That night, Do-hoon slept in the chair beside her bed. When nightmares made Hana cry out, he sang to her. Old songs from Earth, lullabies his own mother had sung to him. The words meant nothing to Hana, but the sounds seemed to comfort her. Captain Bora found him there in the morning. We have a problem, she said. Do-hoon rubbed his eyes. Another one. I have been trying to find a neutral station where we can leave the child. Somewhere safe, where her people can collect her. Bora's face was grim. There is nowhere. Every station in this sector is either human-controlled or Velnori-controlled. If we take her to a human station, she will be captured. If we try to approach a Velnori station, we will be destroyed before we can explain. Then what do we do? Bora looked at him for a long moment. You really want to save this child? Yes. Then there is only one option. We transmit a message on open Velnori frequencies. We tell them we have a survivor from the transport. We give them our position and wait. You know what will happen. They will send a fleet. Yes, they will send everything they have. They will not trust us. They will assume it is a trap. Do-hoon thought about this. He thought about what the Velnori would do when they arrived. Would they listen? Would they understand? Or would they simply open fire? It is worth the risk, he said. Bora stared at him. You are betting all our lives on the hope that the Velnori will not kill us on sight. I am betting on the hope that a mother will want her daughter back. We do not even know if her mother is alive. Do-hoon looked at Hana, still sleeping in the medical bed. Someone will want her back. Someone will come. The captain shook her head slowly, but she walked to the communications console and began recording a message. The words were simple. This is the merchant vessel Calm Horizon. We are neutral, carrying no weapons. We have recovered a Velnori child from the diplomatic transport destroyed in Sector 7. She is alive and receiving medical care. We wish to return her safely to her people. Please respond. The message went out into the void, and then there was nothing to do but wait. Hana woke a few hours later and asked for food. Do-hoon gave her his own ration pack, watching as she figured out how to open it with her small silver fingers. "Where is my mother?" she asked between bites. Do-hun did not know how to answer. He did not know if her mother was alive or dead. He did not know anything about the family that had been aboard that destroyed ship. "We are looking for her," he said. It was not quite a lie. "She will come for me," Hana said with absolute certainty. "She always comes for me." Do-hun hoped she was right. The response came 8 hours later. Not words, but ships. A dozen Velnari warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, surrounding the calm horizon in a perfect formation. And at the center of the fleet, the largest ship of all, flew the flag of a military commander. Someone very important had heard their message. Someone was coming to get Hana. The Velnori warships hung in space like predators circling wounded prey. Their weapons were powered and aimed at the calm horizon. One wrong word, one wrong movement, and the merchant vessel would become dust in memory. Captain Bora stood on the bridge, her face pale but steady. "They are hailing us." The main screen flickered to life. A Velnori officer appeared, his silver face hard with suspicion. "Human vessel, you will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction." "Understood," Bora said. "We offer no resistance. We only wish to return the child safely." "We will see," the officer said, and the screen went dark. Do-hun was in the medical bay with Hana when the Velnori soldiers came aboard. He heard their footsteps in the corridor, heavy and quick. He heard Captain Bora's voice, calm and careful. He heard the soldiers searching the ship, opening every door, looking for traps that did not exist. Then the door to the medical bay opened, and they were there. 6 Velnori soldiers in full combat armor, their weapons raised and ready. They saw Do-hun sitting beside the bed, and their eyes went hard with hate. One of them stepped forward, his gun aimed at Do-hun's chest. "Human!" The soldier spat the word like poison. "Step away from the child." Do-hun raised his hand slowly. "She is still recovering. Please be careful with her." "You dare give us orders?" The soldier's finger tightened on the trigger. "Do-hun!" Hana's small voice cut through the tension. She was awake, looking at the soldiers with wide eyes. "What is happening?" Before anyone could answer, the soldiers suddenly went still. They snapped to attention, stepping aside to create a path. Someone else was coming. She walked into the medical bay like she owned it. She walked like she owned the ship, the space around the ship, and everything in it. Her uniform was dark and decorated with symbols of high rank. Her face was silver like all Velnori, but her features were sharp, her eyes fierce. She carried no weapon. She did not need one. Commander Yuna had arrived. She looked first at her daughter. Her expression did not change, but Do-hun saw something move behind her eyes. Relief, maybe. Love, certainly. Whatever else this woman was, she was a mother who had thought her child was dead. "Hana," she said. Her voice was controlled, giving nothing away. "Mother!" Hana tried to sit up, then winced at the pain in her leg. Yuna moved to the bed in 3 quick steps. She knelt beside her daughter, and for a moment her mask slipped. She touched Hana's face with gentle fingers, checking that she was real, that she was truly alive. "They told me everyone on the transport was killed," Yuna said quietly. "I thought I had lost you." "Do-hun saved me," Hana said. She pointed at him. "He found me in the ship and fixed my leg." Yuna's eyes moved to Do-hun. The softness vanished, replaced by cold calculation. She studied him like she was reading a report, memorizing every detail. "You are the human who sent the message," she said. "Yes." "You found my daughter in the wreckage and brought her here." "Yes." "Why?" The question hung in the air. The soldiers waited, their weapons still ready. Captain Bora and the rest of the crew were somewhere else on the ship, probably wondering if they would live through the next hour. Do-hun met Yuna's eyes. He saw no warmth there, no gratitude, only suspicion and the cold logic of a military commander. "She was hurt and dying," he said simply. "I am a medic. I help people who are hurt and dying. It is what I do. You are human. We are at war. She is the daughter of your enemy. She is also a child, 7 years old. She did not start this war. She does not fight in this war. She was just a little girl trapped under metal, bleeding and scared. I could not leave her." Yuna was silent. She looked at Hana again, at the bandages on her leg, at the medical equipment surrounding the bed. "Tell me about her injuries," she said. Do-hoon explained everything. The crushed leg, the infection, the surgery. He described each step of the treatment, the decisions he had made, the risks he had taken. He spoke like a doctor, giving a report, clear and precise. When he finished, Yuna walked to the other side of the bed and examined her daughter's leg herself. She moved the bandages carefully, checking the wounds beneath. Her face gave nothing away, but her hands were gentle. "This is excellent work," she said finally. "Our own surgeons might not have done better." "Thank you." "I am not thanking you." She turned to face him again. "I am making an observation. You saved my daughter's life. You preserved her leg when any reasonable expectation would be amputation. You did this alone with limited supplies in the middle of enemy space." "Yes. Why?" "I already told you." "You told me words. I want the truth. No human would do this without reason. What do you want? Ransom? Information? Safe passage through our territory?" Do-hoon almost laughed. "I want nothing. I saw a child who needed help. I helped her. There is no deeper plot." Yuna stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned to her soldiers. "Take him." Two soldiers grabbed Do-hoon's arms before he could react. Hana cried out in protest. "Mother, no! He is kind. He saved me." "I know he saved you." Yuna's voice was flat. "That is why I am not killing him." She looked at Do-hoon with eyes like ice. "In Velnarai culture, a life debt is the most sacred bond that can exist. You saved my daughter's life. By our laws, I owe you a debt that can never be fully repaid. I do not need repayment. Just let me go back to my ship." "That is not possible." Yuna moved closer, her voice dropping low. "You have seen my fleet. You know its position, its strength, its formation. If I release you, that information goes straight to human intelligence. I cannot allow that. I am a medic on a merchant ship. I have no connection to the military. That does not matter. In war, information is life and death. I will not risk thousands of my people on your promise of silence." Do-hoon felt cold settle in his chest. "So you will kill me?" "No. I told you I owe you a life debt. I will not kill the man who saved my daughter." She paused. "But I cannot let you go. You will come with us as my honored guest. You will be treated well, given comfortable quarters, allowed certain freedoms, but you will not leave my ship until this war is over. That could be years, decades." "Yes, and my crew." Yuna glanced toward the door, toward the rest of the ship. "They have seen nothing of importance. They may go." Do-hoon looked at Hana. The little girl's eyes were full of tears. She did not understand what was happening, but she knew something was wrong. "It is okay, Hana," he said. "I will be fine." "You will come with us?" she asked hopefully. "You will stay?" Do-hoon looked at her mother, at the commander who held his life in her hands. "Yes," he said. "It seems I will stay." Yuna gave orders in rapid Velnarai. The soldiers began moving, escorting Do-hoon toward the airlock where a transport waited. Other soldiers carried Hana carefully on a stretcher, ensuring her leg remained stable. As they left the calm horizon, Captain Bora appeared in the corridor. She looked at Do-hoon with something like grief. "I am sorry," she said. "Do not be. You warned me. I made my choice. Is there anything I can do?" Do-hoon thought about it. "Tell people what happened here. Tell them a Velnarai commander honored a life debt to a human. Tell them not all of them are monsters." He looked at Yuna as he said it. She heard him. Her expression did not change. The transport carried them across the void to the flagship Sovereign's will. Do-hoon watched the calm horizon grow smaller through the window until it finally jumped to faster than light and vanished. He was alone now, a human in the heart of an enemy fleet, a prisoner who could not be killed. And somewhere on the ship, a small silver girl thought he was kind. Perhaps that was enough. The Sovereign's will was the largest ship Do-hoon had ever seen. It stretched across the stars like a city made of metal and light. 3,000 Velnarai lived aboard it, soldiers and officers and support staff, all serving under Commander Yuna. And now one human walked its corridors. They gave him quarters near the medical section. The room was small but clean, with a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars. The door was not locked, but guards stood outside at all times. He was free to move, but never unwatched. The first days were difficult. Everywhere Dohun went, eyes followed him. Some Velnorai stared with curiosity, as if they had never seen a human before. Others looked at him with open hatred, their silver faces twisted with anger. He heard whispers as he passed. Monster, enemy, human filth. No one attacked him. Yuna's orders were clear, and her crew feared her too much to disobey. But Dohun could feel the violence in the air. They wanted to hurt him. Some of them wanted to kill him. Only their commander's word kept him safe. He ate alone in his quarters. The food was strange, designed for Velnarai bodies, but he learned which things he could digest without getting sick. He spent his time reading, studying Velnarai language and culture on a device they allowed him to keep. If he was going to be here for years, he might as well learn. On the fourth day, someone knocked on his door. He opened it to find Hana standing there, her leg in a light brace, leaning on a small support cane. Behind her, two nervous-looking soldiers kept watch. "Hello, Dohun," she said. "Hana." He could not help but smile. "Should you be walking around?" "The doctor said I need to practice. My leg needs exercise to heal properly." She looked past him into the room. "Can I come in?" The guards exchanged uncomfortable glances but said nothing. Dohun stepped aside. Hana explored his small quarters with the curiosity of all children. She touched his desk, looked at his bed, stared out his window at the stars. "Your room is smaller than mine," she said. "I am a guest. Guests do not need big rooms." "Mother says you are a prisoner." Dohun sat down on the edge of his bed. "That is also true. I am both a guest and a prisoner. It is complicated." "Adults make everything complicated." Hana turned to face him. "I wanted to thank you for saving me. I know it was dangerous for you." "You do not need to thank me." "I want to." She limped over and sat beside him on the bed. "And I want to ask you questions about humans, about Earth, about everything." So Dohun told her. He talked about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests, about cities that touch the sky and villages hidden in mountains. He told her about human families, about parents and children, about brothers and sisters. He told her about music and art and games. Hana listened to everything with wide eyes. She asked dozens of questions. What do humans eat? Why do they have such small eyes? Do they really live in houses made of dead trees? For the first time since coming aboard the Sovereign's Will, Dohun felt almost happy. Hana's curiosity was pure and honest. She did not see him as a monster or an enemy. She just saw a strange creature with interesting stories. The visits became regular. Every day, Hana would come to his quarters. They would talk for hours. Dohun taught her human games, drawing pictures in the air with their fingers, making up stories about imaginary worlds. She taught him Velnarai words, laughing at his pronunciation. The guards assigned to watch him grew used to these visits. Their hard faces softened slightly whenever Hana appeared. It seemed the commander's daughter had that effect on everyone. One day, about 2 weeks after Dohun's arrival, Commander Yuna came to his quarters herself. She entered without knocking. The guards snapped to attention. Dohun stood slowly, uncertain of what to expect. "Walk with me," Yuna said. It was not a request. They walked through the corridors of the ship, Yuna in front, Dohun beside her, guards trailing behind. Crew members stopped and stared as they passed. A human walking freely beside their commander. It was beyond strange. Yuna led him to an observation deck, a large room with windows on 3 sides showing the endless darkness of space. She stopped before the largest window and stood with her hands behind her back. "My daughter speaks of you constantly," she said. "She is a curious child. She wants to understand things. She says you are kind. She says you sing to her when she has bad dreams." Dohun said nothing. He did not know where this conversation was going. "I have been trying to understand you," Yuna continued. "I have read every report about humans I could find. I have studied your history, your wars, your culture. I was looking for the explanation. The reason you saved Hana. Did you find it?" "No." She turned to face him. "Nothing in your history explains a human risking his life to save a Velnarai child. Your people kill us. We kill your people. This is the reality of our war. There is no compassion between us. Maybe there should be. That is what confuses me." You speak as if war is optional, as if we chose this. Did we not? Yuna's eyes hardened. You do not know what you are talking about. Humans invaded our territory. Humans burned our colonies first. We are only defending ourselves. The humans I grew up with told a different story. They said Velnarai attacked first. They said your people started killing for no reason. And you believe them? I believe that both sides have reasons. I believe that both sides have suffered. I believe that neither side is completely innocent. Do-hoon met her gaze steadily. I also believe that children should not die for their parents' wars. Yuna was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter. In Velnarai culture, a life debt is absolute. When someone saves your life, you owe them everything. Your loyalty, your protection, your service, if they ask it. She paused. I owe you my daughter's life. By our laws, I should give you anything you want. I want to go home. Anything except that. Do-hoon almost smiled. Then I want nothing. That is not possible. The debt must be acknowledged. It must be honored. Then honor it by treating me with basic kindness. Let me walk freely. Let me eat with your crew instead of alone in my room. Let me help in your medical bay, if you will allow it. I am a good medic. I can be useful. Yuna considered this. You want to help heal Velnarai wounded? I want to help heal wounded people. Their species does not matter to me. You are a strange human, Park Do-hoon. So I have been told. For the first time, something that might have been amusement flickered across Yuna's face. It was gone instantly, buried beneath her commander's mask. Very well. You may move freely within the ship, though guards will always be nearby. You may work in the medical bay, under supervision. You will eat with the officers at my table. Your officers will not be happy about that. My officers will obey my commands. Yuna turned back to the window. You saved my daughter's life. The least I can do is share a meal with you. Do-hoon stood beside her, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were flying. Human soldiers were fighting. People on both sides were dying. And here he was, an enemy's guest, trying to find a path through the darkness. Thank you, Commander, he said. Do not thank me yet, Yuna replied. This war is not over. And despite what Hana thinks, you are still a human. That will never change. She walked away without another word. But that night, for the first time, Do-hoon ate dinner at the officer's table. And although the looks he received were far from friendly, no one tried to stop him. It was a small step. But in a war that had lasted 12 years, small steps were all anyone could hope for. Do-hoon settled into a strange new life aboard the Sovereign's Will. He woke each morning in his small quarters, ate breakfast with officers who barely tolerated his presence, and spent his days in the medical bay. The ship's doctors had been suspicious of him at first. They watched his every move, checked his every decision, questioned his every treatment. But Do-hoon was patient. He worked hard and spoke little. He treated every patient with the same careful attention, whether they looked at him with hatred or fear or simple confusion. Slowly, very slowly, the doctors began to trust him. There was a young medic named Jawan who worked alongside him. She was quiet and serious, with silver hair that she kept tied back in a tight knot. At first, she refused to speak to Do-hoon directly. She would give instructions to other medics, who would then relay them to him. It was awkward and strange. One day, a wounded soldier came in with burns covering half his body. The other medics were busy with other patients. Only Do-hoon and Jiwon were available. I need assistance, Do-hoon said. Jiwon hesitated. Then she moved to his side and began working. They operated together for 3 hours, cutting away dead skin, treating infection, rebuilding what they could. They did not speak except for brief medical instructions. When they were finished, the soldier was stable. He would live. Jiwon looked at Do-hoon across the operating table. Her expression was unreadable. You are skilled, she said. It was the first time she'd spoken to him directly. Thank you. So are you. She nodded once. Then she turned and walked away. But the next day, when she needed help with a difficult patient, she came to Do-hoon first. And the day after that, she brought him a cup of the hot drink that Velnarai favored, setting it on his desk without a word. It was not friendship. Not yet. But the wall between them had cracked, just a little. Hana continued her daily visits. Her leg was healing well. The brace was lighter now, and she could walk without the cane. She was growing too, getting taller, her childish features sharpening into something that would one day be beautiful. She brought Dohun small gifts, interesting rocks she found, drawings she made, strange foods she thought he might like. He kept everything in a box under his bed, silly treasures from a child, but they meant more to him than anything else on the ship. They talked about everything, about Earth and the Velnarai homeworld, about music and stories and dreams. Dohun taught her human history, and she taught him Velnarai legends. They created their own secret language, mixing human and Velnarai words, laughing at how strange it sounded. "I wish you could meet my father," Hana said one afternoon. Dohun looked up from the game they were playing. Hana rarely talked about her father. "He died in the war," she continued quietly, "before I was born. Mother says he was very brave. I am sorry. It is strange. I miss him, but I never knew him. I only miss the idea of him." She moved a piece in their game. "Do you have family, Dohun?" "I had a sister. She died too." "In the war?" "Yes." Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out and took his hand. "We have both lost people," she said. "That is something we share." Dohun squeezed her small silver fingers. "Yes, it is." Commander Yuna watched these interactions from a distance. Dohun would sometimes catch her observing them, standing in doorways or pausing in corridors. Her expression was always unreadable. He could not tell if she approved or disapproved. But then one evening, she joined them. Dohun and Hana were in the observation deck, looking at the stars through the great windows. Hana was telling him about the constellations her people saw, the ancient stories they told about the lights in the sky. Yuna appeared silently as she always did. She stood beside them and looked out at the darkness. "The hunter," she said, pointing at a cluster of stars. "According to legend, he chased a great beast across the heavens for 1,000 years. Did he catch it?" Dohun asked. "No. That is the point of the story. Some things cannot be caught. Some hunts have no end." They stood in silence for a long time, three figures outlined against the stars. "How do humans see these stars?" Yuna asked eventually. So Dohun told her. He pointed out the human constellations, explained the old Earth stories, the Great Bear, the Archer, the Seven Sisters, myths from different cultures, different times, all looking at the same lights and seeing different things. "Interesting," Yuna said. "We look at the same sky and see different stories. Maybe that is part of the problem between our peoples." She glanced at him. "What do you mean?" "We see the same events and tell different stories about them. Each side remembers only their own losses. Each side sees only the other's cruelty." "Are you suggesting we are both wrong?" "I am suggesting we are both incomplete. A story is not true just because you believe it." Yuna was quiet. Then unexpectedly, she sat down on a bench by the window. After a moment, Dohun sat beside her. Hana curled up on her mother's other side. "I have been a soldier for 20 years, Yuna said. "I have killed many humans. I have ordered the deaths of many more. I did it because I believed we were right, because I believed we were defending ourselves against monsters. And now? Now I do not know." She looked at him, and for once her mask was gone. He saw the woman beneath the commander, tired and uncertain. "You do not act like a monster, Park Dohun. You saved my daughter. You heal my wounded. You treat my people with respect even though they treat you badly. Maybe humans are not what you thought we were. Maybe not. But it is hard to change what you have believed your whole life." Dohun nodded. "I understand. I grew up believing Velnorai were cruel and heartless, killers without conscience. But then I found Hana, and she was just a scared child. And I met you, and you are just a mother who loves her daughter. We are enemies. Perhaps. But we are also people." Hana had fallen asleep against her mother's shoulder. Yuna looked down at her with an expression of such pure love that it made Dohun's chest ache. "She trusts you completely," Yuna said. "I have never seen her trust anyone so quickly. Children are like that. They see what adults have learned to hide." "What does she see in you?" Dohun thought about the question. "I do not know. Maybe she sees someone who will not hurt her. Maybe she sees someone who is as lost as she is." Yuna was silent for a long moment. Then she did something that shocked Dohun completely. She smiled. It was small and brief, barely a flicker across her silver features. But it was real. "You are a strange man," she said. "When I first brought you aboard this ship, I intended to keep you isolated. I thought I was protecting my people from human contamination. Instead, you have somehow become part of our world. I do not mean to cause trouble." "You are not causing trouble? That is the strangest part." She stood, lifting the sleeping Hana gently in her arms. "Good night, Park Do-hun. We will speak again." She carried her daughter away, leaving Do-hun alone with the stars. 3 nights later, an officer named Taik tried to kill him. Taik was a senior commander, a veteran of many battles. He had lost 2 brothers to human weapons. He had watched friends die in human attacks, and he could not accept that a human was living freely among them, eating at their table, treating their wounded. He came to Do-hun's quarters in the dark, a blade in his hand. Do-hun woke to the sound of his door opening. He saw the silver figure, saw the weapon, understood what was happening. He rolled off the bed just as the blade came down. They fought in the darkness. Taik was stronger and trained for combat. Do-hun was faster and desperate to survive. Furniture crashed, blood spilled, whose blood Do-hun could not tell. Then the door burst open again. Yuna stood there, alerted by the noise. She took in the scene in an instant. Taik with his blade, Do-hun bleeding on the floor. She moved so fast, Do-hun barely saw it. One moment Taik was raising his blade for another strike. The next moment he was on the ground, Yuna's own blade buried in his chest. He died without making a sound. Yuna knelt beside Do-hun. "Are you hurt?" "Cuts, nothing serious." "I will send medics." She looked at Taik's body, and her expression was cold as space. "He violated my direct orders. He attempted to murder someone under my protection. He lost people in the war. He was angry. Many of us have lost people. That does not give us the right to break our commander's word." She stood. "You are under my protection, Park Do-hun. I will not allow anyone to harm you, not while you are on my ship." She walked to the door, then stopped. "Thank you," Do-hun said. She did not turn around. "The debt I owe you cannot be repaid, but I will spend the rest of my life trying." Then she was gone, leaving Do-hun alone with a dead man and questions he did not know how to answer. The war changed while Do-hun lived aboard the Sovereign's will. It did not get better, it got worse. Human forces launched a massive offensive into Velnorai core systems. 3 worlds fell in as many months. Millions of Velnorai civilians fled their homes. The news arrived in waves of panic and grief, spreading through the ship like a sickness. Do-hun watched the crew change. The officers who had begun to tolerate his presence grew cold again. The medics who had started to trust him became distant. Even Ji-won, who had become almost a friend, stopped meeting his eyes. He understood. How could they look at him kindly when his people were burning their worlds? Hana still visited, but her visits were shorter now. Her mother was busy all the time, planning battles, directing fleets. The child spent many hours alone, and her bright curiosity had dimmed into something sadder. One evening, Do-hun found her crying in the observation deck. "What is wrong?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Mother says she might not come back," Hana whispered. "She is being sent to fight. She says there is a big battle coming, and she might die." Do-hun felt something cold settle in his stomach. "When?" "Soon. Maybe tomorrow." Hana wiped her eyes with her small hands. "I already lost my father. I cannot lose her too." Do-hun put his arm around her. She leaned into him, trembling. "I know this is hard," he said. "War is always hardest on the people who cannot fight. I hate this war. I hate it so much." "I know. I hate it too." They sat together in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships and Velnorai ships were gathering for a battle that would kill thousands. And there was nothing either of them could do to stop it. Or was there? The thought came to Do-hun slowly, forming piece by piece in his mind. It was dangerous, probably impossible, almost certainly suicide. But if there was even a small chance, he went to Yuna's quarters that night. The guards were reluctant to let him pass, but he insisted. "Tell her it is urgent. Tell her I have a proposal." They made him wait for an hour. When the door finally opened, Yuna looked exhausted. Her silver face was drawn, her eyes heavy. "This is not a good time," she said. "I know. but I think I can help." She let him in. Her quarters were simple for a commander, functional rather than comfortable. Maps and reports covered every surface. "Help how?" she asked. "The battle you are preparing for. It will be devastating. Both sides will lose thousands of ships, millions of lives, and at the end, nothing will be decided. The war will continue." "That is war. There is nothing to be done." "Maybe there is." Dohun took a deep breath. "Before I became a medic, I served in the human military, not as a soldier, but as a combat engineer. I worked with high-ranking officers. I still have contacts in human command." Yuna's eyes narrowed. "Go on. Let me reach out to them, quietly through back channels, not to share military secrets, but to open a conversation, to see if there is any appetite for peace. You want to negotiate? I want to try. The worst they can say is no." Yuna stared at him for a long moment. "You are suggesting that you, a human prisoner on a Velnarai warship, could contact human military leadership and convince them to consider peace talks. When you put it like that, it sounds impossible. It sounds insane. Maybe, but I have something no human diplomat has. I have lived among your people. I have eaten at your table, healed your wounded, played with your commander's daughter. I can tell them what I have seen. I can tell them that Velnorai are not monsters, that you are people, with families and dreams and fears just like us. And you think they will listen? I think they might. The war has gone on for 12 years. Everyone is tired. Everyone has lost people. If there is any chance of ending this, should we not try?" Yuna walked to her window and looked out at the stars. The fleet was gathering out there, preparing for the battle that would begin in hours. "If I allow you to send a message, and that message is intercepted by my superiors, I will be executed for treason. My entire fleet will be suspect. Hana will be orphaned, or worse. I know the risk, and yet you ask me to take it. I ask you because you are the only one who can. You are Hana's mother. You know what this war costs. You have seen me, lived with me, judged me. Do you believe I am asking this to hurt your people?" Yuna was quiet for a long time. When she turned back to face him, her expression was unreadable. "What you are asking will likely get you killed. If human command does not believe you, they will think you are a traitor. If my superiors learn what we have done, they will execute us both." "I know. And you want to do this anyway." Dohun thought of Hana, crying in the observation deck. He thought of the thousands of lives that would be lost in the coming battle. He thought of all the children on both sides who would grow up without parents, all the parents who would bury their children. "My sister died in this war," he said quietly. "I have spent years being angry about it, hating the Velnarai for taking her from me. But living here with you and Hana, I have learned something. Hate does not bring back the dead. It only creates more dead." A pretty thought. War is not ended by pretty thoughts. No, it is ended by people who are willing to take risks, people who are willing to trust their enemies, even when it terrifies them. He met her eyes. "You trusted me with your daughter, Commander. Trust me with this." Yuna closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked old, tired, human in a way. "When I found you on that merchant ship," she said, "I thought you were a fool, a naive human who did not understand how the universe worked. I thought saving Hana was a momentary weakness, something you would regret. And now? Now I think you are the bravest man I have ever met, or the most foolish. Perhaps there is no difference." She walked to her desk and pulled out a communication device, small, untraceable, designed for covert messages. "This will reach human frequencies without being detected by our own monitoring systems. You will have one chance to send a message. Make it count." Dohan took the device. It was heavier than it looked. Or maybe that was just the weight of what it represented. "If this works," Yuna said, "if by some miracle you can bring peace to our peoples, what will you ask for in return?" "Nothing." "Nothing? If I can end this war, that will be enough. Hana will grow up in a galaxy where humans and Velnarai are not killing each other. That is all the reward I need." Yuna stared at him with an expression he could not read. Then she did something unexpected. She reached out and touched his face. Her silver fingers were cool against his skin. You are an unusual man, Park Do-hoon. I do not think there are many like you, in either species. There are more than you think, on both sides. People who are tired of war, people who want peace. We just need to find them. Then find them. She stepped back. Send your message. I will delay the battle for as long as I can. After that, it is in other hands. Doan looked at the device, at the chance he held in his hands. Thank you, Commander. Yuna, she said. When we are alone, you may call me Yuna. He smiled. Thank you, Yuna. She did not smile back, but something in her eyes softened. Go, she said. Save us all if you can. And Dohan went to try. 3 months of secret messages passed between ships. 3 months of careful words and careful promises. 3 months of hope and fear and waiting. Dohan slept very little during that time. He spent his days in the medical bay, working harder than ever to prove his value to the crew. He spent his nights crafting messages, choosing each word like a surgeon choosing his tools. One wrong phrase could end everything. The first response from human command had been hostile. Who was this man? How had he ended up on a Velnarai ship? Was this some kind of trap? Do-hoon answered every question honestly. He told them about the destroyed transport, about Hana, about the life debt and his time aboard the Sovereign's will. He described what he had seen, what he had learned. He told them that the Velnorai were not monsters. They were people, tired, grieving people who wanted the war to end as much as anyone. Slowly, painfully, the tone of the messages changed. There was a woman in human command, Admiral Sora. She had lost her son in the war 3 years ago. She had spent every day since then fighting for total victory, for the complete destruction of the Velnorai. She was the last person Do-hoon expected to support peace, but she was also the first to say yes. I lost my son, she wrote in her final message. I have spent 3 years trying to kill enough Velnorai to fill the hole in my heart. It has not worked. Maybe it is time to try something else. The ceasefire was announced on a morning that looked like any other. Do-hoon was in the medical bay when Yuna's voice came through the ship's speakers. All hands, stand down from battle stations. Repeat, stand down. A ceasefire has been declared between the Velnorai Empire and the Human Federation. All combat operations are to cease immediately. The medical bay went silent. Doctors and medics stared at each other in disbelief. One of them, an old surgeon who had been working since before the war began, sat down heavily and began to cry. Do-hoon stood frozen at his station. He had hoped for this moment. He had worked for this moment. But now that it was here, he could not quite believe it. Ji-won appeared beside him. She looked at him with something new in her eyes. You did this, she said. It was not a question. I helped. Many people did this. But it started with you. She was quiet for a moment. Then she bowed, a deep and formal gesture of respect. Thank you, Do-hoon, for everything. Before he could respond, she was gone, moving to comfort the crying surgeon. Hana found him an hour later. She ran into the medical bay, her healed leg carrying her swift and strong. She threw herself at Do-hoon, and he caught her, lifting her up. Mother says the war is over, she said, her face bright with joy. Not over. Paused. But yes, the fighting has stopped. Because of you. Do-hoon set her down. Because of many people. Your mother helped. Admiral Sora helped. Many brave people on both sides decided to take a chance on peace. But you started it. Hana looked up at him with her large dark eyes. You saved me, and that started everything. Do-hoon did not know what to say to that. He just hugged her again. The peace talks were held on a neutral world called Haven. It was a place neither side had claimed, a small planet with blue oceans and green forests that reminded Do-hoon of Earth. He went as part of Yuna's delegation, not as a prisoner anymore, but as an advisor. The life debt had been repaid, she told him. He was free to go. He chose to stay. The negotiations were long and difficult. Old wounds did not heal easily. There were arguments and accusations. There were moments when everything nearly fell apart. Both sides had lost so much. Both sides wanted justice. But in the end, they wanted peace more. The treaty was signed on a morning when rain was falling gently over the conference building. Human leaders and Velnorai commanders stood together in the same room, something that had not happened in 12 years. They signed their names to documents that promised an end to hostilities. Not perfect peace, not friendship, but a beginning. Do-hun watched from the back of the room. He was not important enough to be at the signing table. He was just a medic, after all. Just a man who had once found a wounded child in the wreckage of a destroyed ship. Yuna found him after the ceremony. She was wearing her formal uniform, decorated with all her medals and honors. She looked powerful and proud. But when she saw him, her expression softened. "It is done," she said. "It is done. You should be up there receiving honors. None of this would have happened without you." Do-hun shook his head. "I do not need honors. This is enough." They walked out of the conference building together. Haven's sun was breaking through the clouds and the rain was stopping. A rainbow formed in the distance, arching over the green hills. Hana was waiting for them outside. She stood between two worlds, human diplomats on one side, Vel-Norai on the other. She looked at both groups with the curiosity that had never left her. "Do-hun," she called, running to him. "Did you see the rainbow?" "I saw it. My teacher says rainbows are good luck. Do you think it is a sign?" Do-hun looked at the rainbow, at the clear sky beyond it, at the two peoples who were learning to stand in the same space without violence. "Maybe," he said, "or maybe we make our own luck." They walked toward the rainbow together, the three of them. A human man, a Vel-Norai commander, and a child who belonged to both worlds now. Yuna walked beside Do-hun in silence for a while. Then she spoke. "The life debt is paid. You are free to return to your people. Your human command has offered you a position, I understand, a reward for your service." "They have. Will you take it?" Do-hun thought about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests he had told Hana about the human world he had not seen in over a year. Part of him wanted to go back. Part of him missed his own kind. But another part of him remembered a promise. "You told me I had to return," he said slowly, "when I left to send the first message. You made me promise to come back." "I did." "You did not say I had to leave afterward." Yuna stopped walking. She turned to face him, and for a moment, just a moment, her commander's mask was completely gone. He saw the woman beneath, vulnerable and hopeful. "Are you saying you want to stay?" Do-hun looked at Hana, running ahead of them through the wet grass. He looked at Yuna, standing so close he could see his reflection in her silver eyes. "I spent 12 years thinking the Vel-Norai were my enemies," he said. "Then I spent 1 year learning they are just people, flawed, complicated, capable of great cruelty and great kindness, just like humans." "That does not answer my question." "Yes, I want to stay." He reached out and took her hand. Her silver fingers were cool against his skin, just like before. "I want to see what we can build together. I want to help raise Hana in a galaxy without war. I want to prove that humans and Vel-Norai can be more than enemies." Yuna looked at their joined hands. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she smiled. A real smile. Not the brief flicker he had seen before. A smile that transformed her face into something beautiful. "You are still a strange man, Park Do-hun." "Is that a yes?" "It is a yes." Hana came running back to them. She saw them holding hands and her face lit up with pure joy. "Does this mean we are a family now?" she asked. Do-hun looked at Yuna. She looked at him. Neither of them had an answer, but they were standing together under a rainbow on a world called Haven, at the beginning of a peace that they had built with their own hands. Maybe that was enough for now. Maybe the rest would come with time. "Maybe," Do-hun said. "Let us find out." They walked on together into the light. The war was over. The peace was fragile and new, uncertain and full of challenges. There would be setbacks. There would be people on both sides who could not let go of hatred. The galaxy would not change overnight. But somewhere on a small planet between the stars, a human and a Vel-Norai were learning to love each other. A child was growing up without fear. 3 people from different worlds had become something more than the sum of their parts. And that was how peace always began, not with treaties or ceremonies, not with grand gestures or heroic battles. It began with a single act of compassion, a hand reaching out to help a stranger, a choice to see past the labels of enemy and ally. Park Do-hun had found a wounded child in the wreckage of a destroyed ship. He had chosen to save her when every logical reason said he should leave her to die. That small act of kindness had rippled outward, changing minds and hearts, until finally it changed the course of a war. That was the power of humanity at its best. Not weapons or technology, not strength or intelligence, just the simple, stubborn, beautiful refusal to let hate be the final word. The sun set over Haven, painting the sky in colors neither species had names for, and somewhere in the distance children of both worlds were playing together, laughing at jokes they did not fully understand, finding common ground in the way that children always do. It was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning.